Ladies and gentlemen, now in terms of animation and visuals, the Maker is a 10 out of 10. Literally, I think he's probably like the top 5 coolest visual character ever, but gameplay-wise and rotation-wise, this character for me has been incredibly disappointing. I feel like in matchups, I'm going to show these where he punches down, or if it's like the perfect matchup, you know, he's got class advantage, he's an alright character. But in any sort of scenario where he has to punch up, or you've got disadvantage, or you haven't got class advantage, or there's some sort of like node or damage reduction, this character becomes really awkward and difficult to actually finish fights in a realistically like acceptable amount of time for a 7-star rank 3. So yeah, I'm going to showcase like Realm Legends Winter Soldier because this is an example of a fairly like not great matchup for the Maker here. So what we want to do is we really just want to bully him into the corner here, and then the Maker is all about getting his Plasma Mine up from the Special 1 as close to the corner as you can. So you've got this mine mechanic, which if you're used to a character like Silver Sable, as example, you basically use the extended stun, which comes fairly frequently, to charge the heavy. When you're charging the heavy, you see kind of this icon goes blue, and then it also applies a suppression. And then the final thing we want to do is just charge one more heavy, get 4, and then get that back, and then we go with the special 2, and then we trigger that over the mine, and that's where you get the damage. Now, once you've dealt that, your mine is gone. It disappears, and without that, you don't have a lot of damage. So you've got to get to the special 1 again, and then you've got to heavy charge on these long stuns to just end off the fight here. We can also just like go in for a combo. Again, outside of like detonating the mines, you really don't have that much damage. So after you use the special 2, you're out of gas essentially, right? You don't have like a good way to finish off the fight there. So that was a 7-star rank 3, 1 minute 25 seconds against Winter Soldier. And that's a scenario where it's like quite easy to lay up your combos and also like trigger detonate the mine as well. And that's very, very slow. All right, so now we've kind of shown like a fairly mid scenario with this character. Let's go for a good scenario. So this is against Sabretooth. We got class advantage. We got all 3 of the pre-fights active. This is about 400,000 health, so roughly the equivalent to a Battlegrounds opponent here. And let's just see what this fight feels like against Sabretooth. So we want to start off, get that heavy attack, kind of just refresh, and also pause the passives there. Go for a cheeky little intercept, and we just want to stay super aggressive. Want to get him into the corner, get like a really good positioning on the mine, and then I think we just let him come to us for that first one. We just charge that till we see the blue. Detonates on the second mine, that's pretty perfect. And then we also need to be careful not to lose too much space against Sabretooth, which sometimes can be a little bit of a problem against this character. Okay, I think here, let's go for the special 2. Might just be enough. Not quite on the finish, but there we go. Okay, Sabretooth is down. That was only like 2 mine detonation stacks there. A pretty quick matchup in terms of like how we could play it with that character, but still it was 44 seconds. That is not a very quick nuke against quite a basic matchup there. But then the problem you have is the running out of gas that we were talking about in the Winter Soldier matchup. It's like, okay, once you've done that special 2, you've got like a long period of downtime. You know, you need to kill things with that special 2 if you want to be successful with this character in Battlegrounds and for it to be a really effective nuke. So this is Sabretooth now. He's got over 600,000, so we're up about like 50% health from the previous one. And let's try and play as well as we can here, because I think we did all right in that first matchup. So yeah, let's go for a heavy attack here. We can just do a quick one. The mine's not up yet, so there's no need to kind of like charge that heavy to get it up a little bit quicker. Okay, let's fire off that special 1. You could potentially do another combo just to get it a bit closer to the corner, but I think we'll be okay here. Okay, nice. We refresh that. Okay, we got that parry. It lined up maybe a little too early, but it's all good. We got 3 stacks here. We gonna be able to push for the 4th, maybe? Okay, there we go. This is 4. This is the dream here. If you can get the special 2 quick enough, that is. Oh, okay, not quite. But here, again, we're out of that big gas, you know? We can actually use a couple of heavy attacks just to get something in here. And there we go. Sabretooth is down. So that was about 600,000 health Sabretooth there. And the time was about 1 minute and 11 seconds. And again, that's still quite a favorable matchup, you know? Because you do have the class advantage. That kind of brings it actually a little bit lower in comparison to Realm of Legends Winter Soldier. But again, for like a brand new 7-star rank 3 character, it's still very, very slow. Now, we're going for another favorable matchup here, and this gameplay is actually like quite tough to record just because I'm trying to get like really good matches every single time. I want to try and showcase this character in the best scenario, but also just something to note as well is like he's quite like annoying to play sometimes because you're so reliant on getting your opponent over like one specific mine. And if opponents can be, you know, a little bit hard to control, like sometimes they just come at you like crazy. So yeah, we're going to give this a go. So we got the Onslaught matchup here. This is great off the start. We can just go for, what is it? A nice heavy attack, refresh those passives, get the heal block on, and that's going to pause those effects as well. And then we're just going to push Onslaught into the corner. So this is absolutely outstanding start here. Managed to interrupt that crush, which is perfect. And now, one really cool thing we're going to do is we can rely on the passive evade charges to take us through that first special 2. So that was mega, mega clutch there. Hopefully he attacks into me again. Perfect. But you can see the evade charges. It's not really like Silk. You don't get them back very easily, which is sometimes slightly annoying. Okay, let's go combo, and then we've got the special 2 into the trap, and then boom, Onslaught goes down. So that was perfect, dude. That was literally perfect. 55 seconds against Onslaught there. Again, could have been a little bit quicker, maybe if we had countered. But again, you can't parry the non-contacts, but that's assuming he's at kind of like an equal power level to what you're bringing. We're going to try the bigger Onslaught here. I actually only have one of the pre-fight abilities. It doesn't affect, what is it? I believe his damage output really too much here, though. But you should see the problem in this one, where I think we are going to potentially run out of a little bit of gas here. Let's give it a go anyway. This is like something to bear in mind with questing. Just sometimes you're going to have fights like with Mr. Fantastic, where, you know, you just do not manage to get those charges back, so you can't use everything. So again, another slight annoyance or inconvenience for this character, potentially. I think we can, like, chain on a heavy there. Look at that. There's some pretty, like, nice, a nice little chunk of burst damage. Oh, okay, I accidentally got clipped by that. The good thing, Neuroshock immunity, you know, it certainly comes in clutch. Say that much. We gotta get him back on the trap. Brilliant. No reparry there. Let's go for this. Hopefully knock him far enough back. Special 2. You can see we just run out of burst there, which is very annoying. Again, this is class advantage as well, so... And this is where it's like, okay, I've only got one evade charge up. I'm like, this character is like so out of gas at this point. So you just try to go for the special 1, get another mine up. Should go over that. Not quite enough to finish off the match. Again, this isn't even like the big Onslaught, you know? This is still like a fairly mid-sized one. And if you're going to be punching up in Battlegrounds, that's potentially what you're going to expect. I actually didn't even see the time on that one, but it was long. It was very, very long. So yeah, that's just my problem with this character is like, he just doesn't feel like he even in his ideal matchups, you know, unless he's like punching at the same level in a good matchup or down, he just doesn't have the reach, and then past that reach, he just doesn't have any sort of follow-up gas to quickly end the fight. It always is like an additional maybe like 10-20 seconds added on, trying to get like another heavy attack or combo or special one. And yeah, it feels very, very painful. And again, these are meant to be the good matchups in comparison. He's meant to be putting on like a crazy performance there. So I kind of want to go a bit more into the mid spectrum. Again, I think if we were doing something like a Yelena or a Bullseye, I might try Bullseye in a little bit, but maybe Killmonger's kind of a good, like, you know, still a very annoying Battlegrounds defender. I just want to see how he does in this matchup by comparison, so we can have a bit of a reference here. And this is the low health Killmonger, so we don't have the class advantage here. The Sentinel Relic additional attack bonus versus mutants won't apply, but about 430,000 hit points here. So let's give this one a go. We need to be just a little bit careful with Killmonger's reverberation, but I think we should be fine here. Killmonger does have a bit of additional power gain, and is also known for throwing himself at you quite aggressively with his special attacks. Okay, cool, so that's the first one. Okay, I think we're at 3, and this is kind of the point where we can... Yeah, we got the big special 2, massive detonation there. Oh, dude, this is actually, from a gameplay standpoint, not a bad matchup at all. But you can see, we're out of gas. We're out of gas. Killmonger's still alive, dude. This isn't a high health Killmonger as well. We're not punching up. This would be like punching equivalent at the moment. Maybe didn't need that for the finish. Maybe we should have just gone for a heavy attack instead. But the special 1 animation's quite long as well. But 121, again, just very slow. Very, very slow. And we got chunked a little bit there. You know, Killmonger's going to have some damage reverberation. But now, and this is probably going to end up quite badly, I'm going to try Bullseye. Because Bullseye, you know, you often get very trapped into a Bullseye matchup in Battlegrounds, you know. Everybody likes to think that they're always going to have their perfect counter at the right time. But it's often very much not the case, you know. The mark of a great Battlegrounds player is just being able to, you know, clutch your way out of a matchup with slightly unfavorable characters, or matchups that people don't quite expect from people. I think what might be good here, I don't know how the assisted evade's gonna work. I think this is where potentially gets a bit annoying to manage stuff, right? Because we just got to keep on knocking this man down if we want to keep our debuffs up. The really annoying thing about the mine as well is that it doesn't, like, replenish naturally. You've either got to be hitting the opponent or charging the heavy attack. Oh, okay, I didn't get the passive evade there. Okay, cool. Dude, he's getting rinsed. I can't do those evades, but this is yeah, not quite what I expected here. I've got to be honest, dude. I was expecting even a little bit more. But you can also see in a matchup like this, right, where we're literally fighting for our life on this space, it's so difficult to gain ground if your opponent, like, has a lot of power gain, you know? all of the pre-fights, they're certainly going to help with that a little bit, but yeah, I can just really see this character, like if you just get it into a corner and you just put something that isn't like a great viewer matchup for it, or make it punch up, like it seems like such an easy character to trap. And then for, you know, the rest of the game outside of Battlegrounds, it's competing with like 50 other tech options. And I think the performance is just really underwhelming. It's like there's a lot to manage with this character in terms of spacing and distance, and there are so many nodes and scenarios that, you know, force you into the corner, give the opponent unstoppable, power gain, just anything that pushes you back more and kind of ruins your core strategy. So yeah, I must admit, my first impressions for the Maker, I think this character is, I kind of see what they were going for. I think there are ways to make him, like, more worth it. I don't necessarily, like, hate his core rotation. I just hate that it has no payoff, and I hate that the mind disappears after the special too. In my opinion, there's no reason for it to disappear. It should, like, remain consistent. I just, like, help you finish off the fight. That would be, like, such a positive change for the character. But yeah, I think in his current state, he's probably, for me, the most disappointing character I've played out of the 2025 characters so far. So yeah, that is just my opinion. I was looking forward to playing this character the most out of all of the characters this year, and I wanted to share that I feel like he's really disappointing in his current state, but it wouldn't take really a lot to get this character to a level where he feels much better. And I think like a part of this actually might be due to having the Reed synergy, where if you pair him with more of himself or Reed Richards, which is himself, you're going to get like major attack bonuses. So this, you know, can fix his reach in certain content if you just want to run, you know, many copies of this character on your team. Again, I'm not sure how viable that strategy is for everything, but there may be something, you know, very particular that this comes an incredible use for at some point. But yeah, just overall as a character, I just wanted him to be better. He's nearly there, but I find his loop and gameplay like very frustrating, and there's just more stuff that could be done to just give him like a better quality of life and make him just more consistent, more enjoyable to play. So yeah, I hope this guy gets a little bit of love, a little bit of a tune-up, because I know most of the time now when they, you know, announce the character balance, it's like, okay, everything's fine, we're just going to move on. And for a lot of characters, I think that's the right call, but I'm actually really hoping that this character is one that they show a lot of appreciation for when it comes back to that revisit, and you know, he really gets the love he needs, because I think in 6 months, a year's time, if he does get that love, could be a phenomenal character. My intuition is that I think he's going to be quite disappointing and impractical, and I think he's gonna, if you're playing this guy in Battlegrounds particularly, I think you're going to have more scenarios where you feel frustrated for having him than scenarios where you were like, oh wow, this character was super clutch, he saved me, he allowed me to do this matchup. Because I think for a lot of the stuff that he seems good for, there's already a lot of great options out there. Like, I'd rather play Jack against Onslaught than the Maker personally. Jack is just such an absolute beast of a character. So yeah, just my honest thoughts about this new champion. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all very much for watching. Take care, and I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day.